Hello everyone! Today I'm going to be showing you how to make a set of 7 polyhedral dice out of resin using the Petri technique. In order to create this set, you're going to need epoxy resin. I use Art & Glow AB resin, a silicone mold, I made this one specifically for dice, alcohol inks of various colors, mixing containers, and popsicle sticks. I also use a pressure pot, but that's totally optional. For safety equipment, you will need a respirator rated for fumes, nitrile gloves, goggles, and a hair tie. Once you are suited up, it's time to prepare the resin. You need to mix equal parts by volume of the resin, so carefully pour roughly 18 milliliters of resin, both parts A and B, into separate containers. Having a little bit of excess resin will help fill any voids that might occur when the resin is curing, so the volume doesn't have to be 18 milliliters exactly, as long as both parts are equal. Now you can pour the parts together. Make sure to scrape the edges of the containers to incorporate all parts of the resin. And then, using a popsicle stick, mix together the parts until they are thoroughly combined. Then you can slowly pour the resin into the clean molds, filling them up about 3/4 of the way, and then set the excess resin aside. Now that the molds are filled, you're going to wait for 20 to 25 minutes, or half of the resin's work time. Once the resin is thick, you can take your alcohol ink, my first color is pink, and place drops on the resin. Wait a few minutes, and then take your second color, and repeat the process again. Wait a few more minutes and take a white alcohol ink and place drops over top of the other colors. Wait for 5 minutes or to the end of your resin's work time. Now you can take that excess resin you previously set aside and pour it into each mold until it is slightly overflowing. You should use all of the excess resin because any extra put on top of the mold will help fill bubbles that will pop when the resin is curing. Then, use a lighter to take a quick pass over the resin. Not for too long, just to remove any surface bubbles. Then, grab the cap for the mold and align it with the base. Make sure the keyholes are aligned so the mold fits together perfectly. Once they are connected, press the top of the lid firmly to prevent any gaps or floating faces that may happen. Now you can leave your molds to cure on a table, but because I have one, I'll be using a pressure pot. Once your mold is placed into your pressure pot, tighten the knobs to prevent any air leaks. I use a piece of metal to help me, but you don't have to. Now I take my pressure chamber and hook it up to my pressure pot, filling it up to about 40 psi. My resin's cure time is 24 hours, so I set a timer and leave my molds to cure overnight. After the resin has cured, you can turn off the chamber, release the pressure, and remove the molds from the pot. Now, slowly separate the cap from the base. You shouldn't see any voids or bubbles if you had enough excess resin, which you can now start to peel away. When breaking the excess resin, be gentle around the dice so you don't cut any corners or ruin the dice faces. After that's done, you can pop your dice out of the molds. If there is any bits of resin still stuck on the dice, you can use a pair of clippers to remove any excess. And now you're ready to sand. I purchased a pottery wheel to sand, so I'll be using that. You totally don't have to do this, it is completely optional. I just find that it saves me time and effort. So, after taping down a piece of glass for a flat surface, I start with 400 grit sandpaper, followed by the layers of Zona polishing papers. Once my dice are sanded and polished, it's time to ink. Grab some acrylic paint, I'm using black, and then dab the paint onto the numbers. You don't have to be very precise because you can wipe off any excess with a finger or a paper towel. And that's it! You now have a completed set of polyhedral dice that are perfect for playing. This technique turned out really pretty, so feel free to experiment with different colors until you create a set that's perfect for you. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you next time.